Okay, so this is a plan for my 10 by 20 shed. It's going to be a guest house eventually. This is a floor plan for it. This plan helps me locate and make sure I got enough room for moving around. Everything is located. I added the closet here, so I had a bit more room in there. I currently have everything that you can see in here with the exception of the toilet and the shower pan. Those I don't need. But this is a floor plan. Lets me know where I want to locate things such as switches, outlets, lights, and gas lines coming in and out. So let's move on and I'll show you what I came up with after looking at a lot of plans. So coming back here, I got my solar setup for the shed as it currently stands right now. It will change. I'll get into that later. I got 510 watts coming in, 60 amp charge controller, 4 batteries, 12 volt batteries wired. Everything is wired in parallel right now, so it's all 12 volt. I'm coming into a 2500 watt inverter and into a breaker box where I put two 15 amp circuits in there with a 30 amp main. Did my calculations as best I could from whatever information I could find online. Calculated my angle, built my own mount, came up with it should be about 35 degrees. Give me the best sun all year long without me having to change everything. So after the solar setup, we get into where I'm going to locate and how I wired this thing. So coming in from the inverter to the breaker box, I got my two circuits here. Living room, 110 volt, 110 volt, so on down the line. Got a porch light and a switch at the door. So I got my legend here, tells me how to do everything. Same thing over here, two lights at the end of the circuit, light switches by the door. And if I wasn't exactly sure how I wanted to wire this, because I got a single light above my desk and I wanted a separate light switch, so this is set over by where the bed would be, and this just helped me remind me how I wanted to do it. So we got that going on. Then I came over here. This is a plumbing for it, so I'm going to have a 500 gallon water source, actually 550. There'll be two IBC tanks. I'll pump water in from the well, and got plumbing for a toilet. There will be a shower. I got a on-demand hot water heater, and it shows the direction of all the runs in here and out to a septic system. So we got that, and so far I haven't needed this setup yet because I'm not even close to getting to that point. Right now I'm just using this as an office, so I don't need any of this yet. Come in here, here's my gas lines. I got 200-pound propane tanks. Currently the only thing I have in here that works is a heater, but I got it set up so I can run over to the hot water heater and an accessory outlet for where the stove would be. So it's a 10,000 BTU water or heater with almost an 80,000 BTU hot water heater. Which isn't really huge, but it works. It's like 3 gallons a minute, I think, 3 to 5. So then we are, of course, back to the floor plan. And the reason I bring all this up is I wanted to do a little study on my own as to, one, what it would cost. For me, the cost changed dramatically. These are numbers I got initially. I was looking for a 1,000 watt system. I found two pre-made systems here. This is 720 watt system. It's that price right there, $41.19, and it had two battery options, four 12 volt batteries, 763 to 1233 for the batteries. Here's a 1.28 kilowatt system. It's initially 6564 with a battery option of 791 to 1150, and these are your two ratings for it. That's two 12 volt batteries or four 24. This is a 12 volt system here. This is a 24 volt system. I'm going to switch my shed over to a 24 volt system. I just think it works better, and I'm not using any 12 volt lights out here. So if I look at these, I came down here to my shed. To upgrade my shed from what I currently have is going to cost me about $18.20. This is what I will have on it. 670 watt panels, 80 amp charge controller. I'm going to upgrade to a 3000 watt inverter. I'm going to switch the batteries out to possibly 4 Full River AGM batteries, 250 amp hours each, and I got to build a ground mount. So this would be the total cost if I did everything from scratch. So that would be $5,020. So I did a kind of a breakdown. Everybody says they got no power bill. Well, actually you do. If you look at it, your initial cost, you've paid for everything up front. So since you paid for everything up front, you don't have a power bill on hand, but you've paid, like in this this system here, the total cost with everything is going to be roughly about a little over 6,000, 6,500 or better. In 10 years, you're going to have to replace the batteries. That could be another $800. So the first 10 years of this system, you've paid $27.53 a month for 10 years. The second 10 years, because you had to buy the batteries a second time, you're going to pay $34.17. Now at the end of that 20-year period, maybe 25 if you're lucky, you're going to have to go through this whole thing again. Same thing over here. You got the 1.28 kilowatt system. Total cost of that was $9,042. That's my guesstimation on cost of tools and things like that you may need to get. So first 10 years, you're paying $37.68 a month is what you paid for it, but you paid for it all up front. Second 10 years, you're going to pay $45.77 because, again, you had to replace the batteries. Time could change. And at the end of that 20-year period, again, 25 years, you're going to have to probably replace this whole system again. So you do have a power bill. The only reason it looks like you don't have a power bill is you paid for everything up front. So let's see, I got some other stuff going on here. Okay, this is the reason why I like to keep a couple of graph paper tablets around me at all times. I ordered a ground mount system. I got all the information on the ground mount. My initial setup was I needed 12 holes, 54 inches deep, and it'd take about 1.7 yards of concrete. Well, once I started digging around here, I'm on a rock, so it's kind of hard to do. So I talked to the engineer on the project, and he says, well, I could go 24 inches in diameter and only have to drill the holes about 42 inches deep. Well, I'm still on a rock, so that didn't help. So when I talked to the inspector, when he came out and was looking at the house, inspecting part of the house, he said, well, you're going to need something to get this thing going. So you come up with a plan, take lots of pictures of it, and if it looks good, I'll approve it. So this is what I had to come up with. My angle from the ground is 35 degrees, just like their plan was. I had poles in the ground. I could only go down 18 inches, but I had to backfill 6 inches of that. So really, from grade level that I had, this is only 12 inches deep here, 18 inches overall. But my concrete form here is 12 inches wide, 18 inches deep, and 25 foot 9 inches long, the forms. I got 2 runs of concrete, each one weighing 1 point, or not weighing, each one has 1.43 yards times 2 is 1.86. That's roughly about 10,000 pounds of concrete. It's all reinforced with rebar, and in each post here, I drilled a hole through it, ran a piece of rebar through there, and that's buried in the concrete as well. So if I get wind strong enough to pull this thing up out of the ground and knock it over, I'm in trouble far beyond what I'd have to worry about. And I did add 2 diagonal braces to help stabilize it and keep maybe one from being pushed into the other. So they both have to go over basically if anything's going to happen, and that worked. Another thing I want to talk about with the house anyway, it's not so important on a tiny home, is the orientation of the house, where it's aligned north and south. So my house is set up this way. This is just a roof plan looking down on it. I got a 8 by 40 deck here. Oh, sorry, here. The roof plan, and I got a patio on the south side here. Well, I aligned it this way, so north is that direction, because I get the morning sun, both summer and winter, coming in from here. And I get it all the way around to, well, basically about in here in the summertime. And by that time, it's on the back side of the house. This side over here has a lot of windows. I got French doors in here, a sliding door here, large window each side of the sliding door, and the French door here. With all that glass on this south side, in the wintertime, I don't have to turn the heat up too much as long as the temperature stays about 30 degrees. I've had the inside of the house, just from the sun shining through the window, inside of the house has been up around 70, 71 degrees when the outside temperature's right around freezing. So I figured that worked pretty good. It cuts down on my propane. So house orientation, if you're going to do it, seems to work pretty good. This is also all concrete, so I got a lot of thermal mass there. Not that it helps much in the wintertime, but it does work in the summertime, and in the fall, late fall, early spring, it keeps anything underneath the house from freezing. We're supposed to have temperatures down into the single digits next week. We'll see how that works out. And I think that's about it. But my biggest point of this whole video is people seem to think their off-grid lifestyle has gotten them away from the power bill. And I'm just trying to point out that's a fallacy. You've still got a power bill. You're still going to have to put money away over time. The only reason you don't see it in your pocketbook right now is you have paid for everything up front. So it's just something to think about. And I'm going to try and get into talking more about my house. I just wanted to get some information out there for people who are looking into doing this. You can start small. You can get by with a couple $3,000. Start small. This pole building cost me about, this shed cost about $6,500, and then I got to finish the interior, insulate it, and wire it. So by the time I'm done with this thing, this shed will have cost about, and I'm spending more money than I should, this shed will have cost probably right around $10,000 to complete. It's more than I wanted to spend, but it's cheaper than going out and buying a big RV to try and live in while you build a house. So we got a real cheap RV, a nice cheap fifth wheel that's worked, and now we're in the house, so I'm not too worried about that anymore. It's basically a scrap item because everything is basically broken on it. So these are my thoughts on the whole issues of free and easy lifestyle. Nothing's for free. you're not being greener. I know the technology that goes into building the panels and everything else, what materials are required and stuff like that. I've talked to several engineers in the thing about off-grid living and solar panels and wind turbines as to how green they are. And to be perfectly honest with you, I haven't really got a good explanation from them. They've never really come up with any numbers, but right now solar panels and wind turbines are basically throwaway items. They go in your landfill. Batteries can be recycled. I'm not sure what the cost is of recycling, what the environmental impact is, but everything has a cost. And if you think you're going green and living a free, easy, debt-free lifestyle, um, you're not really. You still got to put money away and have that money at the end of the life cycle of your system that you put in, whether it's wind, solar, or even a generator. And you're going to basically need at least two of them, probably all three. I want to build a wind turbine. Um, I got a couple ideas for that. Maybe a waste of time, but it's a project I can deal with. But you're going to have to, if you go and you have solar, you're going to have to at times have a backup generator to keep the batteries charged or run power equipment. I got a lot of power equipment that I need to keep charged and running. So the batteries will run some of it. Bigger tools require the generator to be running. So that's what I got to say. If you want to get into living off grid, the thing it really affords you to do that you should think about, it allows you to live in an area you normally couldn't live in. Where I'm at right now, it's cost prohibitive to get power out here. So we went off grid. So far it's worked great. It's powering us through the winter time so far with just solar. I got a 4.7 kilowatt system. And we aren't using much power right now. Basically a few lights and running the refrigerator. We don't watch TV really. It's kind of a waste of time, but I do pay attention to the news, but there's nothing on TV anymore. So this is what I had to say. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you would like to leave a comment, by all means leave a comment, either for or against, and see if we can get a conversation going among the people who want to comment. See what maybe you guys found out information I didn't know. But anyway, it's almost Christmas time now, so you guys have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I'll see if I can get this video out before Christmas. Don't count on it. Goodbye.